Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi. Call me back. Bye.
This is Nichol Kessinger, infamously known as Chris Watts' mistress.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
This woman might quite literally be one of the most hated women in the world, or at least in the true crime world. After the news of this horrific crime in 2018, many have wondered if Nichol Kessinger was more involved than just having an affair with a married man.
We're going to dwell on it, though. They're going to try to use that as his why. I don't think it's his why. I really don't.
That's why I asked you that question. You think his why is financial?
I'm not expecting that. I don't even know. Like, sometimes I'm like, I just want to do it now, and I'm like, why?
Some believe Kessinger told Chris Watts to do what he did, or helped him plan it, or even execute it. Me, I'm undecided. I believe that it is a fact that Nichol Kessinger is culpable, that she's the reason, the catalyst. If you take her out of the picture, I do not believe Chris would have done it. It was the pressure that she put on him. It was the manipulation and the alleged ultimatum that made Chris Watts become a ticking time bomb.
You really didn't do anything wrong.
I had an affair with a married man who lied to me and made me believe that he really wasn't like as married as I think he was. But the media is not going to be so kind to let everybody know that. I think people are going to think I'm like the reason that he went off the deep end. The reason that he went off the deep end. He went off the deep end. The deep end. The deep end.
That's probably a fair statement. I would probably agree with you to some effect, but if these people you know him at work, then...
In my opinion, Nichol Kessinger saw or even met Chris Watts and or Shanann Watts at an event somewhere. She may have met them through mutual friends, or she came across them online back in 2017 when her phone data reflects that she did so. I don't think it was a coincidence that she landed a job at Anadarko with Chris Watts. I don't believe that they just happened to run into each other at work, or that this affair happened spontaneously and just organically progressed. I strongly believe that Kessinger very meticulously planned and strategized exactly what she needed to do in order to win Chris Watts. Because I believe this was very much a game to her, a game that she desperately wanted to win. She learned all of Shanann's strengths and weaknesses. Like a game of chess, she moved each unique piece with its own specific moving pattern, with a strong purpose and with a pure motivation to search for the best way to implement her plan. One of her objectives was to keep her pawn structure strong and to try to weaken her opponent's pawn structure. She developed her pieces to their full potential in order to have more firepower and use the extra force to overpower her opponent.
And he had expressed to me that we've tried to work on this and it's not working, so that is why we're separated. I mean, he told me that he was living in the basement, and he said, we're separated, but we're not divorced. You are still in this situation where you're not even completely out of it, and I'm getting in it, and that's not fair. Not now. It's like you're not finalized with your separation. I'm very calm when I talk to people. It's like extremely rational when I handle situations that there's a disagreement in. It almost made me feel bad, where I was like to the point where I'm engaging in a relationship with a man who, the way he described it, is in a contractual agreement, but was not in like an emotional relationship with somebody.
Chess is an ultimate battle of wits, akin to embarking on a thrilling mental expedition. Nichol Kessinger wanted to be the Grand Master, which is the highest title one can hold. She walked into that interview room fully planning to control the narrative. She thought she was going to convince everyone not to believe their own eyes and ears, but instead to believe everything she was telling them. She couldn't be seen as the sleazy homewrecker who put so much pressure on a man to leave his wife that he his entire family. No. She must be seen as the savior, the one who was saving him from a bad marriage. Nichol Kessinger made some really absurd statements. She said things like, "I really tried to take things slow. I really tried to handle this situation respectfully." And here's a good one. "I respect monogamy." Those statements just sound so ridiculous. This is a woman who met and fell in love with a married man and expected him to separate from his wife, get his own place, and file for a divorce within a couple of weeks. All so that she could start introducing him into her life and introduce him to her friends and family because she was that desperate for a relationship.
I'm like the reason that he went off the deep end. I'm the reason he went off the deep end
is actually a true statement from Nichol herself. She predicted that people would believe this because she is speaking with all of the knowledge that she has, and she knows the extreme amount of pressure that she put on Chris Watts to separate and leave his wife. She knows all of the comments that she made about how much it bothered her that he already had a family. He's already been there, done that.
I wasn't sure if he was the one I want to be with because he had already done everything. I was like, it would be really nice to go have kids and have my own marriage and all of that stuff. That was never anything I conveyed to him.
Oh, you most certainly did convey that to him. You told him that you were looking for someone to spend your life with. You told him that in the first batch of emails you guys exchanged. Nikki says, "I'm looking for someone to build a beautiful life with." Seems so simple, but it's so unrealistic sometimes. Build something similar to what you have done with your wife and those cute little girls. Nichol Kessinger absolutely made it known that she wanted what Chris Watts already had. She spent so much time convincing Chris that his family was a problem, an inconvenience, that they were obstructing him from being the man that Kessinger wanted him to be.
I mean, he told me other things, they really don't sleep together too much, stuff like that, but I feel like a lot of husbands and wives don't do that. But it was like, well, of course you don't. That's why you're coming to me,
Nichol Kessinger planned this affair, allegedly, in my opinion. She coincidentally landed a job at Anadarko with Chris Then Watts. She started the affair at the opportune time that she knew Shanann had an upcoming trip that she had planned on going on without her husband.
My life is so, very in order.
You seem very organized and independent and dialed in.
I have my shit together. It's I don't mess around. I mean, I did. I screwed up.
Nichol Kessinger came across Chris and Shanann in 2017, a year prior, and decided right then and there that they had the life that she desired. Shanann had the man, the husband, that she had been desperately seeking. She had the man that she had been dreaming of. So she began planning exactly how she would make this happen. She found out where Chris worked and realized that she could actually arrange the meeting of Chris Watts. Once she got the job, she could easily put herself on the path of marrying the man of her dreams. She didn't care that Chris Watts was already taken. She didn't care that he already had a family and that he appeared to be happily married. She was confident that she could swoop in there and steal him away. Nichol Kessinger likely planned all of these little run-ins with Chris Watts at work.
And I'd seen him before, they meet in the lunchroom, and that's where I go put my lunch in the fridge. So I'd seen him, but I didn't ever, talk to him. So that day we just started talking, and then every time I saw him in the hallway after that, and it was always hit or miss. It wasn't an everyday thing. It was just when I saw him, we just started talking.
Hit or miss means careless, inattentive, haphazard. But I don't believe that her running into Chris was random or that it happened naturally. Hit or miss is also a phrase that you would use when there's something to aim for, a target, and I believe she targeted Chris Watts. During these little run-ins with Chris, she turned on the charm. She was an outrageous, habitual flirt. I would imagine that there were lots of looking at Chris in a way that felt a bit too long, lots of touching and poking. She probably gave him an excessive amount of compliments and perked up whenever he was around. She wasn't shy. She let him know that she was interested right away. In the beginning, when Chris first started talking to Nikki, Chris told his best friend Mark about flirting and talking to a girl at work. Mark advised him that it wasn't a good idea. Chris agreed and said he would cut it off or back away. He later admitted that he didn't back away. He allowed it to continue because he had never been pursued before. Nikki pursued him, as in chased him. The definition of pursue is to follow someone or something in order to catch or attack them, to seek or attain or accomplish a goal over a period of time. She was persistent.
You were able to say, Nikki, this is what I would like, this is what I'm into, or blah, 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 and maybe not with Shanann.
No, Nikki just wanted, she wanted what she wanted.
Let's talk about Kessinger's strategy. She didn't waste any time. As soon as Shanann and the girls left for North Carolina, Kessinger got to work.
That's why you're coming to me. You know, he told me that her and him have had communication issues.
Nichol
about 6
Kessinger
years.
was a mastermind at manipulation.
This all happened so quickly, didn't it?
It was insane quickly.
Their affair got hot and heavy in the month of July. Because Chris's wife is thousands of miles away, they can finally start spending time together and become a real couple.
That whole month of July on, it was like, I was never alone.
Nikki contemplated how she could use her time with him wisely. She knew her time was limited, and she had much to achieve before Chris would be reunited with his family. Kessinger had to really hone in all of her manipulation skills in order to get Chris to turn his attention away from his family and get him to focus all of his time and energy on her.
Like, I never had all those reminders. Like, I never slept in my house. Like, the whole month of July.
Through the whole month of July, Chris Watts is living a bachelor life. He would go to work and then go home just long enough to shower, grab some clothes, and then he would go to Nikki's house.
Oh, okay. So you weren't even at your house.
No, I was there at her house pretty much every night. So it was like I didn't have that time at home just to really think about anything. Because literally, I was only at home from like when I got home from work. I worked out, I ate dinner, and then I went over to her house.
I believe Nikki's strategy was to keep Chris with her as much as possible so that he wouldn't be able to talk to his wife.
Like, she even told me, like, she would never, like a normal relationship, she would never have somebody over her house, like, more than, like, once or twice a week, but she felt like she wanted me over there.
Yeah.
She said she felt comfortable over there. Yeah. So, it's like, that's what was different, like, she wanted me over there.
Nichol Kessinger recognized that this wasn't a normal relationship. In this relationship, she had competition, and I don't imagine that she had the capability to handle that very well.
Went to camping in Sand Dunes National Park, and I'd never been camping. I always wanted to do it. She'd done it like countless times.
Oh, really? Okay. She's outdoorsy?
Yes.
Kessinger had planned all these little weekend getaways to the sand dunes, camping, racing, car shows, and museums. And she was very strategic in doing this. I think she very purposefully took Chris to all of the places that he normally wouldn't get to go to because he has a family. He has 2 little baby girls and another one on the way, and unfortunately that's just how it is. Your children become your life, and it becomes difficult to find time to do those types of things in between taking care of your family.
Going to camping, going to drag race, going all the other stuff that you have fun doing, but you're with somebody else. It's not your family. It just didn't seem right.
But Nichol Kessinger doesn't understand married life, which involves compromise and commitment. She has no responsibilities and a lot of freedom. And she wanted to give Chris a taste of that life while his wife was away on vacation.
When I was with Nikki, it was, different. Like, I wasn't even, like, in the realm of, I'm a dad, I'm a husband type thing.
It's almost as if she was dangling a carrot in front of his face, as if to say, this is the lifestyle that you could have if you just didn't have that pesky little family of yours.
Like, I have no, like, concept of that anymore.
She wanted to remind him of the life he used to have, the life he gave up for his family. The events she planned were not kid-friendly. Children don't want to be out in the hot sun at the sand dunes. Bella and Cece wouldn't particularly love NASCAR racing, where the sound exceeds 100 decibels and is compared to standing near a jet airplane engine. Not that some people don't take their children there, and some, I'm sure, love it. But Nichol Kessinger didn't want to do anything to remind Chris that he was a father to these two adorable little girls. She surely didn't want them on his mind. She wanted to show him all of the fun he could have without his family. So not only is she trying to show Chris that he could have what she thinks is a better life, but she also has another trick up her sleeve. She knew exactly what to do to get Chris hooked on her. She would kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone. These particular dates would also remind him of his dad, who we all know held a special place in Chris's heart. The way into Chris's heart was not through his stomach, as the saying goes. The way into his heart was through his dad. If she could remind Chris of those precious moments with his father, he would be in awe of her.
She wanted to go to the car museum, Shelby Museum in Boulder. I've never been there. And
That's right up your alley.
I was just like, that was awesome just to walk around cars for like an hour or so. And then, drag race in Vandermeer.
Okay.
And I haven't been to a drag race since 2008. And that was in Charlotte. Like, that was the big drag show.
She knew that was a vulnerable place for him. She knew it was a way for her to hold his heart in her hands.
Just like the NHRA, the Top Fuel, and fun car stuff, like me and my dad used to grow up.
Yeah.
Go there like all the time.
Nichol very meticulously planned their time together and the dates that she would take him on. She crammed in as much adventure and fun as possible. Cramming all of these fun dates into this short period of time would also help Nikki feel more secure in the relationship, knowing that her and Chris were creating lots of memories and doing new things together. She likely didn't realize how much she was revealing her insecurities. And she comes off as extremely desperate, rushing to hurry and do all of these new things with this married man while his wife's out of town. She's basically trying to prove herself wrong or refute her thinking that she couldn't possibly have any first with a man who already has a family of his own. So why is Nichol Kessinger doing this? What made her take these steps to try to steal another woman's husband? Since Nichol Kessinger did a lot of reading and Googling about men marrying their mistresses, I figured we should read up on it a little bit too. What Kessinger would have found during her research is that statistics show that only 3 to 5% of married men actually leave their wives for their mistress. And even then, a majority of the time, it doesn't work out. So I wanted to sort of dive into what emotions Kessinger might have been feeling during this period of time that she chose to engage in this affair with Chris Watts. There are multiple different mindsets and reasons women choose this life. To be honest, her reason won't change or make a difference to you because it comes down to this one truth. She does not love and value herself. And Nichol exhibits a lot of signs of low self-esteem. She shows defensiveness, highly sensitive to criticism, definitely the victim mentality. She may be a great friend, take care of her looks, and present to the world a confident woman. Except deep down, she is not convinced that she is deserving of an honest relationship with a devoted man. She uses this situation to prove her worth by stealing the attention, care, and love from a taken man. In an online discussion thread about mistresses, someone wrote, "I've had affairs with married men, and it's nothing I'm proud of. My personal motivation was a need to be desired, which was much stronger than my sense of morality. I guess you could say I was desperate to be loved and took the attention from anywhere I could find it." Well, that sounds very familiar. The person who emailed me that claimed they worked with Nichol Kessinger said that she loved attention, basically from anybody who would give it to her. That was my unhealed, broken self. The person I am now would never be anyone's second choice. Another woman wrote, "I guess some women think there's power in it. I mean, she could ruin the man's marriage if she told the wife. Some women love the man and keep at it thinking he'll leave his wife. Some women enjoy the no-strings-attached business of being a mistress. Some women have low self-esteem. Some find the secrecy of the relationship exciting. I'm not really sure. I've never been a mistress, but I feel sorry for the wives." My point is, Nichol Kessinger knew that there was a huge chance that Chris Watts was not planning to divorce his wife, even if that's what he was telling her. She knew that it was possible that he was lying to her and that things weren't moving along as fast as she hoped. I'm sure as this continued, her frustration was growing stronger and stronger by the day. Her only option left was to continue to pressure Chris and make him understand that she was the better choice. So she began to badmouth Shanann and point out all of her flaws.
She wants everybody to think that we live a certain way and that we can like sustain all this stuff.
You said something about her being controlling or
bossy.
Bossy.
That's what he said. Bossy. I think he was just saying when he voices his opinion, it's not her. The reason that they don't really get along anymore is because he feels like he's not her, and she like doesn't acknowledge him. And he said that he'd addressed it with her a few times. They just kind of like fell apart.
Okay.
Just kind of drifted apart.
Was that your words or his?
What the
fell apart? Was that your words or his?
What the
fell apart?
Those are mine.
Okay.
Those are mine. Those are mine. He just said that they didn't communicate very well.
I don't believe anything that she says. Basically, I believe the exact opposite. I think that what she said Chris told her was actually what she was telling Chris.
Like they really didn't like sleep together too much, stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of husbands and wives don't do that. But it was like, oh, of course you don't. That's why you're coming to me.
She poked and prodded to find any destructive qualities in their marriage so that she could use that information to turn Chris against his wife. The problems in the marriage were 100% fixable, but she convinced Chris that they were deal breakers. Communication issues, not listening to each other, and not spending quality time together are probably the biggest complaints in relationships. Not feeling heard or appreciated is pretty common in marriages. These are definitely issues that can be worked on and improved. Shanann was more than willing to put in the work to repair their relationship, though I'm not convinced that there were ever any real legit problems aside from their finances, because Chris admitted that he would have never known there was anything wrong in his marriage if he had not met Nichol Kessinger.
Except for it's not green, but it's delicious. It's really, really, really good. Okay, guys. Tomorrow morning, be prepared. I'm going to go live.
What's the term for creating a problem, then selling the solution? Whatever it is, that's exactly what Nichol Kessinger was doing. She told Chris, this, and this is what's wrong with your marriage, and I know exactly how to fix it. Nichol Kessinger was so desperate for a relationship that she was willing to wreck a family just so that she could get what she wanted. I believe Nichol Kessinger was getting desperate. Desperate to have what Shanann had. She couldn't allow this opportunity to pass her by. And one of the qualities that I think she loved about Chris Watts was that he was so easily manipulated. She could make him do whatever she wanted. He was like her own personal little robot. And this is why I put Chris Watts' face on a sheep, because he is so submissive. He can't think for himself. He blindly and mindlessly does whatever he's told without thinking. And Nichol Kessinger became the shepherd. Nichol Kessinger had a really hard time with the idea of having to share Chris Watts with his wife. She didn't want to be the other woman. Once she realized she would always be second fiddle to his wife. This realization caused some arguments that Chris described as having to talk her off a ledge.
A lot of things, like when she realized that, okay, like she's the other person in the relationship, that, you know, I always put my wife first over her, and that's what kind of made her take a step back a few times, and then like I had to kind of like calm her down.
Tell me about those times. What'd that look like?
So the first one was probably around July 4th when I had to leave her house, because she wanted to kind of spend most of the day together before she went to like a baseball game or something. And like when I had to leave, it kind of just made her like kind of take a step back and wonder what she was doing. And I just, you know, told her like, hey, you know, just because of what's going, like just because I had to leave doesn't mean like, you know, you have to just take a step. I was like comforting her at some point. I don't even know why I was doing it. Maybe I knew I was too far gone at that point, but it was.
This is Shanann's pissed. She's called you 10 times. You were sleeping.
Yeah.
Take your day off, and then you go outside to talk to her on the phone and tell Nikki that you need to go home just in case she calls back and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what did she say to you, Nikki?
She was in the shower. She said, okay. And then that's like, when I talk about it, I calm her down. She's on the phone.
And was she like, we're breaking up, like we're not gonna...
No, she said like she didn't want to, like she didn't think it was safe or feel good for us to see each other anymore that day. Like she didn't think it was safe. She didn't think it was safe. She didn't think it was safe, or feel good for us to see each other anymore that day. Like the rest of that day, just because of all that. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Then she asked me to come over like later on after she got back from her baseball game.
And so you did that?
In a letter to Sherilyn Cadle, Chris Watts went into more detail. He explained that Nikki had later actually showed up at his house. She allowed Dieter to lead her up the stairs, where she saw a picture of Shanann and one of the girls. Although a lot of people speculate that Nikki had actually seen a picture of baby Nico's sonogram. And this must have been a huge blow to her self-esteem. When she saw that house and pictures of his beautiful family, I think she thought, there's no way I can compete with this. He already has a family. He already has a wife. He doesn't need you. He's already created a beautiful life with someone else. You can't have him. You're not good enough. He'll never leave her. He's just stringing you along. You're just his side piece. He doesn't love you. He'll get bored with you and then he'll forget all about you. You should just let him go. Let him go. Let him go. So while Nichol was wandering around in their home, these are just a few of the photos that she would have seen. And this is when I think she really started to question whether Chris would really leave his wife for her. She got really upset, and this is when she told him, I thought I could give you a son.
All this happens. I hope so. We will see. I forgot what I was going to say. Are you guys... Am I in trouble because they related to sex?
You're not in trouble.
I didn't know what was going on at that point.
So, I know, does that cause question?
Of course it
does. There is, but is it criminal?
This
No.
is a good example of Nichol Kessinger playing mind games, because she had told Chris Watts that she wasn't even sure that she wanted children at all. But here she is saying that she had hoped she could give him a son.
So what was the second one like?
It was basically about the same thing. She was, you know, I didn't really know it at one point, but I guess she had set up a couple dates with like some eHarmony app or something, and they never showed up. And she'd already made plans with me, and
Wait, what do you mean? She set up dates when she had plans with you?
Yeah.
Why would she do that?
I guess she kind of figured out they weren't going to show up. She went, I guess when she went to the baseball game, they never showed up, and there was another one and never showed up either.
So she's actively dating other people while you guys are together?
So like a couple weeks later.
How did you find out? What'd she say?
I don't know about you guys, but I found this part coming up a little bit funny because Kessinger is actually lying to Chris about setting up some dates on an app called eHarmony in an attempt to make him jealous. And Chris cares so little about what she's saying that he falls asleep in the middle of their conversation.
It was one conversation where I actually kind of fell asleep on the couch, and then like she had told me like I'm not sure why she told me about it, but it was very random, and she could tell that it kind of like took me back a little bit because I figured she would have told me that if she was actively still like looking around.
He's describing this as a fight, one of the fights that him and Nikki got into. But it doesn't really sound like a fight. He just says that it took him back a little bit.
I mean, she didn't have to tell me, but I figured
Do you think she told you though so that it would hurry you up and
make a decision.
you're making a decision?
It might have been.
Bingo. Tammy hit the nail on the head with that one. Everything she did during this period of time was to hurry him up, to push him in the direction that she wanted him to go.
Do you think she told you though so that it would hurry you up and
make a decision.
you're making?
She never had anybody that actually tried to like fix things as far as like, you know, hey, like I like where we're at as far as like a relationship goes, and actually like I did stuff for her around the house, around her little apartment. Nobody's ever done that. She just thought it was different.
His family was in the way of Chris having the ability to make all of Nikki's dreams come true.
You know what I tell him? I'm like, I'm simple too, so if you end up doing that and we end up staying together, let's do it. But it was never like, sell your house, let's go buy a house. I mean, it was like a thing where it was like offhandedly, like one day maybe this will happen, but again, it was like these were...
Chris gave Nikki a card specifically referencing making dreams come true. A year of stuff you love to do and brand new dreams to make come true. Chris Watts was aware of what Nikki's dreams were. He knew exactly what she wanted. He wrote, "Big things will happen this year. Dreams will come true."
I'm trying to find out how to do all this without spending all my savings. I'm saving up for a house, and I'm just like, damn it. And I finally got it, and all this happened. And I finally got it, and all this happened.
I think he was frustrated by the fact that they could be doing a lot better financially, and she, from the vibe that I got, had really bad spending habits. She just likes to spend money, like a lot of it. It was a lifestyle that she liked to live, like very, like materialistic kind of lifestyle. She's really posse, and she usually shuts me out. Realistic kind of lifestyle.
Wanted to
Like
project a certain image.
Yes, all the time.
Nichol Kessinger said that she didn't really meddle in Chris and Shanann's relationship, but that's not true at all.
I don't try to like interfere with how those two interact. But I did ask about it because I'm just curious. And I think the only reason that he even provided me with that information is because I asked.
Okay. You said something about her being controlling or bossy.
That's what he said. Bossy. And he told me, he's like, when I try to talk to her, he's like, she's really bossy and she usually shuts me out. And he's like, when she does that, he's like, I just let it go. And I was just like, all right. Because I would never put myself in a situation where someone was like, you know what, we're going to live in this house that costs like double what we can afford, and that's how it's going to be because I want everybody to think we're fancy. Because I wouldn't do that. I mean, to me, like, I wouldn't put up with somebody doing that. And she, like, doesn't acknowledge him.
2 seconds, like literally she's already getting done. She kicks Dieter off and then gets back in my spot, wakes me. So, he's not getting up here, Dieter.
I believe Nichol Kessinger became obsessed with Shanann. I believe she watched her lives. I think she became crazy jealous of her. And that just added to her frustration, and this whole thing began to take a toll on her.
I'm kind of rambling. I don't even know if I'm making any sense at all. But that right there is why I will continue what I do. I will continue fighting. I will continue
He told me, he's like, you know, I feel like my paycheck goes in my bank account and I just watch it go like this. He's like, but it doesn't have to. He's like, she makes it like that. I think he was frustrated by the fact that they could be doing a lot better financially, and she, from the vibe that I got, had really bad spending habits. It was a lifestyle that she liked to live, like very, like materialistic kind of lifestyle.
Want to
Like
project a certain image.
Yes, all the time. And he said that that was why they got that house too. It's like she wants everybody to think that we live a certain way and that we can like sustain all this stuff. And he's like, and we can't. He voiced his concern where it's just like financially, I'm in a very bad spot that I don't need to be in, but I'm stuck in. And that was kind of where he was at. He says that he, you know, he comes home from work and he tries to talk to her and she'll just be like, 1 minute, I'm on the phone. Or she'll like scroll through social media and she like doesn't acknowledge him. And, he said that he'd addressed it with her a few times, and he said he'd addressed it with her a few times, and he said it just fell on deaf ears. He's like, they just kind of like fell apart.
Okay.
Just kind of drifted apart.
Was that your words or his?
What? The
fell apart.
Those are mine.
Okay.
Those are mine.
Okay.
Those are mine. He just said that they didn't communicate very well, and it wasn't in a aggressive way to communicate. It was just the fact that they didn't like communicate. They didn't talk.
Yeah, they had children, and they did. Was I ever mentioned?
Nichol Kessinger is gaslighting us. She was gaslighting the detectives.
Like, I care. Like, I care. I do. Like, despite how messy this is and how I'm sure I'm going to be betrayed in the meeting and everything, like, I care about, like, his well-being with his children and all of that. And some screenshot of some rainbow unicorn Lucky Charms the other day. I was like, do your daughters know about these? Because I bet these are epic. Like, little things like that. She needs to do this and she needs to do that. But I'm very calm when I talk to people. It's like extremely rational when I handle situations. I take a step back.
When she realized that, okay, like she's the other person in the relationship, that, you know, I'd always put my wife first over her, and that's what kind of made her take a step back a few times.
Take a step back.
And then like I had to kind of like calm her down. When she realized that, you know, I'd always put my wife first over her, I had to kind of like calm her down. I'd always put my wife first over her, I had to kind of like calm her down. Okay, like she's the other person in the relationships, and then like I had to kind of like calm her down.
This is typical mistress behavior. Mistresses often become competitive with the wife, and they think of the married man as a prize to be won.
Like, I think I was like a breath of fresh air for him, where it was like he could get away.
Chris Watts might have ended the fling with Nikki as soon as he was reunited with his family, but Nikki couldn't allow that to happen. When Chris was reunited with his family, she demanded even more that he spend time with her. She complained when he couldn't take her calls, even after telling him, allegedly, to go and rehab his marriage. Chris Watts was in a state of confusion. He couldn't figure out exactly what Nichol wanted from him. It was at the Lazy Dog restaurant when Chris and Nikki had their very last date. This is one of the instances that Chris has always called a turning point, a critical moment, a crossroads, a moment of truth. So what happened? What did they talk about? The only thing that makes sense is that Nichol Kessinger issued Chris Watts an ultimatum, a final demand or statement of terms, the rejection of which will result in retaliation or a breakdown in the relationship. An ultimatum is a final demand attached to a threat, like if you don't do it, I'll never speak to you again. The word ultimatum means final. It is serious business. What were the terms of the ultimatum? What was she demanding? What did she want Chris to do? Do what, or I'll what? Tell your wife about me, or I'll tell her? File for a divorce? Sign a lease on a new place, or I'm calling your wife? Get rid of your family, or else.
You know, because I wasn't gonna like force him to do it. If he doesn't want to do it, don't do it. Just say no, you know. And I was like, and for me, I was like,
Chris Watts had gotten himself in quite the predicament. He had a decision to make. Does he choose his family that he has spent almost a decade building a life with, or does he choose his mistress that he's only been dating for 6 weeks? allegedly. This should have and would have probably been an easy choice to make had Nichol Kessinger not been such a masterful manipulator. Had she not known exactly what to do to push him into making the decisions that she wanted him to make. Chris Watts made both women believe that all of their dreams would come true, and both women got, quite literally, the opposite of what they were expecting.
I am super, super, super pumped about 2018. 2018 is my year. I'm claiming it. It is my year. Everything I want for my family is happening in 2018, or at least it's going to be in process. I have a lot of goals and dreams for my family, and one of them is to give my kids the best that they can get as far as living life, enjoying one another, creating memories as a family.
People keep telling me I look like Nichol Kessinger, probably because they want me to drink a tall glass of bleach, but just for funsies, here's my impression of her. Did people hate Amber Frey? I think I'm good.
Because I think to myself, if I wasn't in that man's life, would his family still be alive? I think they might be alive, but not permanently. I do not think that this man just snapped. I don't think that he just met some fucking amazing woman and he was just gonna try to his family and then think that I was okay with, like, this is just my, like, opinion, but I don't know if hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt over and over and over again are enough to lead a man to, like, want to take somebody out. I take a step back and it's just like, I didn't know! I didn't know! And I would never justify what he did. I think it's fucking disgusting. It's so, he's such a fucking pig, but I just...